Tom Clark's Main Event is a Boink Studios production. Follow us on Twitter at Boink Studios and check out our Facebook page where you can see all of our projects, past, present, and future. And now, on with the show.
This is Daddy's show. Step off.
Hey, hey! What is up? Welcome to the program, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tom Clark, and you are listening to Tom Clark's Main Event. This, my friends, is episode number 43 of the podcast, and if you're joining us today for the very first time, we will bid you welcome. If you're coming back for a repeat visit, we say, hey, thanks for checking back in with us. And to all of those involved, we'll extend to you, as always, the customary laurel and a hearty handshake. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for reading. Thanks for listening. And hey, thanks for always being there, Doc. As we said before, this is number 43. You'll have to excuse me for a moment. I'm having coffee in my my spiffy new Iron Man mug. Yes, I am a fanboy. Other than pro wrestling, which my audience should know by now, hopefully, thanks to our sister podcast, which is Tom and Kyle's Comedy Action Hour, which, yes, is available on iTunes. As you know, folks, I am a shameless self-promoter. That's what I am. That's who I am. That's what I do, okay? Listen, man, thanks for coming back and checking us out again. We do appreciate your business. It's been a while since I've been all up in your ear. Been going through the winter blast, as it were, here on the East Coast, which has been pretty fun. We're in the Mid-Atlantic region, is where Boink Studios is stationed, of course, here in the Carolinas. And we suffered through what we consider to be a blizzard, which wasn't really it's blizzard-like conditions, I guess you could say, for maybe a day and a half, and then it subsided. It's nothing compared to what other folks out there in the rest of this country are dealing with pretty much on an everyday basis. But, we tend to panic quite a bit when the snow monster rears its ugly head. So, yes, we as a state tapped out. Everything shut down. Yours truly was stranded. It was fun times. So there you go. It's been an interesting time if you're a WWE fan, and I suppose you are. Otherwise, why are you listening to this particular podcast? But it's been an interesting time. There's been a lot of things happening since we last spoke. The Royal Rumble being one of those things that went down. And today we're going to cover a lot of ground. I don't know if you can hear this or not, but we've got some strong, crazy winds howling like mad outside the studio here. But you know what? We're going to hope and pray that our equipment can do its job and can get rid of said wind. We've also got wind chimes happening, which I don't know whose bright idea that was, but oh my God, okay? It is what it is. But I couldn't wait any longer to bring you a new episode because I got a lot to say, got a lot of stuff on my mind, a lot of things I need to talk about with you today and get some things sort of off my chest. As we said before, a lot of things are happening in the world of WWE. If you're a pro wrestling fan, it's an exciting time to be alive as there's a lot of wrestling on your television dial, okay? Not just WWE. We're going to cover the other companies as we come to them here. Well, let's go ahead and get to the thrust of the program here, folks. This time, the main event is the People versus WWE. And if that sounds like a landmark court case, then brother, it should, because it definitely is. As you know, pro wrestling fans are a very tough crowd to please. We are a cowardly and superstitious lot, much like the criminals in the world of Batman. But we're also a very passionate bunch of people. And we know what we want, we know when we want it, and we know how we want it, okay? There's no mystery attached to that, at least in terms of of what fans want to see. Fans want excitement. And you can really boil it all down to its bare essential, but fans want excitement, fans want new, fans want innovative, while at the same time having that veteran flair of leadership, as it were. But it has to be kept in check, which maybe it's not really being kept in check too much considering who the champion of WWE is at this point. And again, we'll talk more about that a little bit later on the program. But what are we talking about here, folks? The people versus WWE. We're talking about the overall mood of fans as it pertains to that company. If you spent 5 minutes of your life or better reading any pro wrestling column, whether it's mine or any of my peers, then you know there's a lot of complaints out there. There's a lot to be said. There's a lot of analysis. There's a lot of negativity from some writers who all they do is write negative stuff. And, I try not to do that. It's tough, man. If it's a slow news day and there's not a lot going on, then I do all I can to focus on something good. But then when you watch a 3-hour Monday Night Raw and you're like, wow, this is really a bad program. It's really hard to pull something good out of it. We do what we can. Okay, I'm just saying. But the people versus WWE, and one of the big cases that we're talking about here, maybe the primary case, is Roman Reigns. He is the heir apparent to John Cena. I said that 18 months ago, and I still stick to that. And again, as I've said on the podcast here before, I may not have been the first guy to say it, but I'm sure I was one of the first guys to say it. There was the notion appeared somewhere online. It was a very It was a very quick reference, a very subtle suggestion that Roman Reigns maybe has the company. He's in the company's favor, that they're looking at him to be something more than just the strong guy in the Shield. And when I started thinking about it, and I really started breaking it down, I thought, wow, there's some truth to this. There's got to be, because of X, Y, and Z. And then I spent the next 18 months writing about it, which I'm still doing to this day, actually. It really never ends with this guy, does it? But a lot of the hatred, a lot of the rage, a lot of the vitriol being spewed forth by fans has everything in the world to do with Roman Reigns and his ascension, no pun intended, up the ladder in WWE. Now, here is the thing. If you are a WWE fan, you're not really... He's got like a love-hate relationship, doesn't he? I mean, he's compared to John Cena so many times, it's insane. Much in the same way Cena's compared to Hogan. But Roman has that comparison as well. Takes your breath away, doesn't it? Roman has that comparison as well. But there's a lot of factors that go into play. Number one, I will tell you this. My gut instinct about Roman Reigns is that he works hard. You are hard-pressed to go online or to go anywhere else for that matter, whether it's in print or social media or whatever the case may be. Try going online and finding someone that has something negative to say about Roman from within the company. I'm not saying those people don't exist. Maybe they do. Maybe someone in WWE Creative's not too high on him. Maybe some of his peers aren't too high on him. Some of the guys in the locker room. I don't know. But if that's the case, then they're sure not saying anything, because again, you're hard-pressed to find anything negative being said about Roman Reigns. Now, it doesn't mean he's perfect. It doesn't mean he's doing everything right. JR recently made the comment, well, I don't know about recently, but he's made the comment before, because he likens everything to football. God bless him. That's his shtick, and that's cool. But he's compared it before to Roman being a football player as he used to be, and that he's running the plays that the coach is giving him. So if you look at it in that regard, then yes, what you're looking at is a guy who's being told what to do, absolutely. But it's the execution of the play that concerns most people, because they still have a problem with the execution of the play. How many times has Roman cut a promo, or how many times has Roman worked a match that's left you feeling, I don't know about that, okay? But that's a very subjective thing. You and I could watch the same match and you could love it while I sit there and dissect every single moment of it. Well, it's my job, okay, because I'm an analyst. That's kind of what I do. So that in as much as that is my thing, then I have to do that. It's hard for me to watch as just a fan. It's not impossible, but I still, during like a Monday Night Raw, where maybe I'm not writing a column that night for whatever weird reason, or a SmackDown or an event on I was going to call it pay-per-view. You can't really call it pay-per-view anymore, can you? But I don't know, man. I don't know if you can or not. But during those moments when I'm not like booked up writing the entire time and can enjoy the program as a fan, from a fan's perspective, I do. At the same time, I'm sitting there like, oh, yeah, that was a weak clothesline, or that was, wow, did you see that arm drag? Oh, man, he slipped here and here. And man, I wish he would have said this instead of saying this. And it's hard. But so does my criticalness, that works for me if it works for you. Does my critical side, my analytical side come out when talking about Roman? Well, absolutely it has to. But it's not to the degree that some people out there have for this guy who they basically just want to, throw him in front of a bus. And I got a real problem with that. I read a lot of hate, and a lot of it's personal, and it's from people that will never meet the guy, that will never even shake his hand, and they've got a lot of animosity toward him. And I've got a huge problem with that. I've got a gigantic problem with that. I've been on record before, and I've written many columns before stating my dislike for Hogan. But it's never been personal. It's never been, I've attacked his family. I've attacked him as a man. It's always been Hulk Hogan, the businessman. Hulk Hogan, the character that's in the ring and on the mic. That's the guy that I've attacked before. So, does that make it right? I'm not saying it makes it right. I'm not giving excuses here, folks. But again, this is my job. This is what I do. So, for those people out there who just bash Roman, I mean, just do with a sledgehammer upside the head, man. More vicious than anything Triple H has ever done to anybody in the ring, ever, okay? Just bash this guy upside the head. Why exactly? What did he do to you? Now, do you have the right to complain as a fan? Of course you do. Sure, I'll buy it. That's fine with me, man. You're paying your hard-earned money, or you're spending your 3 hours every Monday night watching Raw, or 2 hours watching SmackDown. So suddenly you have a God-given right to criticize someone from, top to bottom. Okay, well, if that's what you feel, go with God, I suppose. But you know what? I don't see the merit in it. I don't see the positivity that can come from that. I just don't get it at all. And, I've been on the record before criticizing John a lot. But again, have I ever made it personal? No, I haven't. I defy anyone to read any of my columns where I've made it personal. In fact, I've said on countless times that I feel like John is probably a really good guy with a really good heart who generally loves the business. That part is not a work. That part is not character. There's an S on his chest because it fits him, because that's what they want, because it fits him perfectly. But I don't make it personal. You know what I mean? So there's a way to go about doing this. And unfortunately for us as fans, there's a lot of, morons out there who don't really know what they're talking about. So soapbox is, over, I guess, for the moment, and it might come back at some point during the program. I guess all I'm saying is it's okay to criticize the product. It's okay to criticize the characters. But, when you start throwing all the blame at one guy's door, and that guy's name is not Vince McMahon or Triple H, then, brother, you got some serious issues, okay? You need to get yourself a life and get over yourself. Just saying. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, back to Roman, shall we? But he's got a lot of hate. In the time we spoke last, man, I mean, he's gone through a lot. As we know, won the championship on Raw, lost it at the Royal Rumble to the aforementioned Triple H. Lost in the Rumble match, I should say. He was eliminated, and of course, Triple H was crowned the 14-time, yes, WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And everybody's talking about John breaking Flair's record. I don't know, dude. At this point, you have to say Triple H is kind of in the running to do that, yes? And who better? Who better to tie Flair's record? Would you be okay with Triple H tying Flair's record? I'm just throwing it out there. I'll be honest with you. I think most people would be okay with it versus John, because there's still a lot of hatred and animosity toward John as well. The Roman Reigns effect is still in play. Actually, maybe I guess you'd call it the John Cena effect, really, which, technically it still is, because Roman's going to inherit that, like he's going to inherit the mantle. A lot of word online right now is that, yes, indeedy do, Roman Reigns is going to win the championship again, this time on the grandest stage of them all, Dallas, Texas, AT&T Stadium, against, you guessed it, the Headless Horseman. I don't know where that came from. The King of Kings. He needs another nickname. I'm just throwing it out there to you. But Oh man, the coffee's doing something to me. I got to be honest with you. Um, but here's the problem that a lot of people have. This thing is the most forced program that I believe I've seen in recent memory. Now, everyone says that. Everyone says it, but they can't explain to you why. The most popular opinion about Roman is they're shoving him down our throats. By the way, that's my idiot voice. I use it whenever I want to talk about idiots. So if you've tuned in, you know this. If not, don't be afraid. I'm not. Twisting on you here. I'm not going nuts. I have I've had my meds. Okay. But people say, well, he's this, he's that, he's being shoved down our throats. It's whatever. But they can't explain to you why. Unlike someone like me, who can be very specific and explain to you why. Roman Reigns has been put in the Daniel Bryan spot, and he's been put there, and he's been there for a heck of a long time. He continues to be there, and it looks like it's just never going to end, man. I'll be honest with you. And it's a tough one. And I've explained it many times in my columns in the past. More specifically on my blog, which you can find on tomcartbr.wix.com/blog. This is, by the way, the WWE specific blog. There's another blog that I'll mention to you later that's got not just pro wrestling, but a lot of other stuff on it. But this particular column posted on January 25th, and it's Roman Reigns' Royal Rumble ruin, in which I go into detail about why fans hate him, about what happened, his road to the top, and this, that, and the other. But that's not the only time I've talked about it, man. It's been a lot of times. And, the Daniel Bryan scenario is in full effect, and it's never going to go away, dude, because the company doesn't want it to go away. Do you understand? They don't want it to go away. They feel like this is the best possible course to get Roman over. I say hogwash to that. I call shenanigans, because honestly, it's one of the most ridiculous things that I've ever heard in my life. And here's the point to the whole thing. Daniel Bryan happened very organically. It was a very natural rise. It was a very, it was the Yes movement. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but yes, it was a movement. And it was, it was demanded by the fans. The people wanted him in that spot. Okay. So guess what? He was in that spot. Now, it didn't always work. There were moments when fans got frustrated with it because WWE kept dangling the carrot in front of us all the time. But eventually, we managed to get the carrot, and man, was it delicious, because Daniel Bryan delivered on every level and became WWE's, essentially their top guy for like 15 minutes until he got hurt again. So, but for a brief period of time there, all was well in the land of Daniel Bryan. Everything was great. And again, when something comes from the ground up, it means a lot more to people. It means a lot more to the company. It means a lot more to the fans, because that's the Stone Cold idea, man, where Stone Cold was floundering. He wasn't doing anything. He gets up there and cuts promo King of the Ring, and he says, Austin 3:16 says, I just, did something very bad to you. And, and the next night on Raw, Austin 3:16 signs littered the audience. They were everywhere. The landscape of the business changed forever after that, because here you had the biggest anti-hero in the history of pro wrestling getting over, probably more so than any anti-hero ever had, including Piper, including the Horsemen. I mean, just heels that you were supposed to hate, but you couldn't help but cheer for because they were just cool. And Stone Cold broke the mold, shattered it into a million pieces, man. And that is... And I've written that column before, too, as well. The WWE's been trying to repeat that for years, and it's never worked. Not to the extent that it worked with Austin. But, and why is that? Why is that, folks? Because it has to happen very organically. Because it has to come from the people. Because the people had to demand, listen, man, this is who we want. This is who we want in this role. And this is who we want on our TV all the time. Thank you very much. Please make it happen. And no one is saying that about Roman. Not a soul is saying that about Roman, okay? Okay, I shouldn't say not a soul. He's got his fans, I'm just saying. But WWE's not done him a lot of favors. And that's just the point. That's just point of fact. They've not done him a lot of favors at all. And the problem that a lot of people have, okay, again, is that Roman is being forced into a spot that makes zero to no sense for him, because this spot was inhabited by Daniel Bryan. Because when people look at Bryan, to this day, people want him back. People want to see good things happen for Daniel Bryan, okay? Because they feel like, the underdog thing is in full effect. If Daniel were 6'5" and, 280, I mean, would he still have the same, presence? Would he still have the same support? I mean, I don't know, dude. I mean, it's a lot of ifs, ands, and maybes, I suppose you could say. But at the same time, he's so good in the ring, and he's got such a good heart, and he loves the business so much. And, when it comes to all of that, dude, you have to say that Daniel got where he was and what he achieved because he worked hard to get there. And a lot of popular opinion about Roman is that he didn't do anything to get there, man. Now, I'm not going to get bogged down in that argument because that's neither here nor there. I like to deal in fact. I like to deal in today. And today, in fact, tells me that WWE wants this guy at the top. They've made it very clear to everyone watching they want Roman Reigns at the top. So instead of dealing with the notion that Roman Reigns is not that guy, deal with the fact that he's actually there. Having said that, on the aforementioned blog, which I just pitched to you mere moments ago, I did write a column posted on January 31st entitled, "What if Roman Reigns is not WWE's next top guy?" And I know it's hypocritical, but here's the thing, man, that I'm coming down from on this idea here, is that he's on the outside looking in once again. A lot of fans believed he was there. We knew he was there. And then all of a sudden the belt's gone again. And at some point, just like we did with Daniel, if you remember Daniel's rise to the top, or what we thought was his rise to the top, we all began to question, is this really happening, or are they just messing with us? Well, that's kind of where I'm at this time, except that I'm asking the question, all right, is Roman really the top guy? Or is this whole thing just a swerve? Swing? I watched Wayne's World recently, by the way, which is where that came from. And yes, I've let my 7-year-old watch it. He was entertained for a few minutes, and then he went back to playing Xbox. I mean, dude, my kid's addicted, straight up. But he didn't see the swing part. And if he had, I would have had to explain it to him. Try to explain to a 7-year-old, the power of male-female attraction. Because, brother, he's 7. He ain't having it. Perfectly fine with me. I'm not ready to be a grandfather. Did I say that out loud? Yikes. Where was I going with that? But a swerve. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We don't edit, folks. We just keep on rolling. What if it's a swerve? One of the biggest swerves that we've ever seen as pro wrestling fans. Has that even occurred to anyone? Have we all been so programmed to believe Roman is the chosen one for so long we can't even comprehend anything else? Now, here's the thing. Where did we get that programming from? Well, you got it from guys like me. You're welcome. But, we just all assume that's WWE's plan. But what if it's not working? What if they had a guy right now, whether they put him in a spot or not, that he suddenly started getting over at house shows? And I don't know who the guy may be. Call him whoever you want. But physically, he's got the body for it. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He doesn't get in trouble. Keeps his nose clean. Does everything asked of him. Cuts good promos. Okay. He gets over house shows. Suddenly you hear fans chanting for him in arenas. They're chanting for him when he's not even in the ring. Okay. And this continues. It continues. It continues. Do you really think that Roman would still be the next top guy? Or would there be heavy competition for that? I'm all for competition. This thing about, crowning the next guy, I think you got to work for it. And here's the funny part. I think Roman is working hard for it. It's nothing personal. I think Roman is working hard for it. I just don't think it's sticking. Now, why it's not sticking? You can blame Roman. Again, as we said, you can blame all day long. But guess who else you can blame? The company. You can blame them too, man, because they're the ones doing this to him. I mean, the moment that Brock came back, when Brock Lesnar comes back, he lays hands on Roman Reigns. Guess what? Roman is no longer over. Imagine that. You get mauled by the dude called the Beast Incarnate, who is more popular than anybody else in the freaking locker room. And what do you think's going to happen? They're going to cheer you and tell you to get back up? Come on, Roman, attaboy. Of course not. Dude, Brock could lay out anybody on the roster, and he's going to get cheered for it. I'm dead serious, man. I don't know what, I mean, dude, Brock could F5 the Pope and get a pop. I mean, I'm just saying, because it's Brock, man. Brock is like hawk and animal rolled into one. It's hard to hate this guy because he's just, as Gordon Soley referred to the Road Warriors, he is carnage personified, period. He's the closest thing to the Road Warriors that we've seen in one guy, probably ever, because he's just, he's got everything. You know what I'm saying? And the intensity, the athleticism, the power, the strength, the determination. He's got the it factor. He's got everything. Hard to hate that guy. So when that guy lays hands on the dude that you say is your next top guy, this dude's going to replace John Cena. Guess what? Don't have him touch him. This is not hard math, folks. Don't have him lay a hand on Roman Reigns. I don't care how bad Brock wants the title. Throw roadblocks in between them, throw obstacles in their way, let Roman be safe from a distance. You protected the guy to a certain point, you're going to stop protecting him? So a lot of this is the fault of the company. But again, a lot of the rage, a lot of the people being upset, a lot of the anger coming from fans to that company is in regards to Roman Reigns. And they're sick of it. They've had enough. And they want change. They want something different. Now, who's the something different, you may ask? Interesting segue. Dean Ambrose. Now, let's go ahead and start talking about the man that Michael Cole refers to every 2 seconds as the Lunatic Fringe, shall we? On the February 1st edition of Monday Night Raw, for the first time ever, I believe that's ever happened, Dean Ambrose came out and got into a a verbal confrontation, more on that in a bit, with the Beast Brock Lesnar. He stood eye to eye with him and basically came out and said, I want to see what all the fuss is about. You're the Beast, I want to come out, and this, that, and the other. Now, I was okay. In fact, I was happy. I couldn't wait to see what the dude was going to say. I was looking forward to this like you don't even know. I mean, I was legit looking forward to it. And then I got disappointed real quick, dude, because during the course of this little promo, Dean looks at Brock square in the eye and says, "Do I want to fight you?" "No, I don't want to fight you. I don't know of anyone that wants to fight you." And I sat there. I sat there behind my laptop and I said, "What did he just say?" Like, dude, it was like, you could hear a pin drop. Even the crowd didn't know what to do. I'm like, okay, let me just understand this, if I may. Dean Ambrose being elevated as a top babyface. Yes, not the top, but a top, right? A top babyface in that company. And he just said on live television that he doesn't want to face Brock. He doesn't want to face. Wow, are you seriously kidding me right now? Now, all of Dean's fans online blew up because it's what they do, and they were happy and beside themselves and just bubbling over with emotion. Well, good for them. But for anyone that listened, it was terrible, okay? I wanted so much more from Dean in this spot. And I don't know if he said the wrong thing intentionally. In other words, if it was told to him what to say, or if he just said it and it just came out, he misspoke perhaps. I don't know what the answer is, but it was god-awful, okay? Now, how do I know it was god-awful? Because I'm a writer and because it hit me that way? Okay, sure, whatever. But if you need further proof, go look up the promo on WWE's YouTube channel, and guess what, folks? They've edited that little tidbit out. Yes, it's been taken out. Now, why exactly? For time constraints, yes. They always, you see the little flash in the videos where you can tell the edit job has been done because they're trying to speed it up and get you to the main point of the video. They edit their stuff all the time. Fine, if that's what you think, go ahead and go with God on that one. You know what I think? I think that someone sat back and listened to that and said, "Wait, oh God, that sounded terrible. Take it out now." So they did, okay? Folks, this is not hard math. Okay, 1 + 1 does not equal 5. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Don't make it harder than it has to be if you're WWE. They made it extremely hard, okay? It's very easy to see this stuff if you just sit back, take a breath, be quiet, shut up for a minute, stop thinking you know everything, okay? Stop cheering for people just because they're your favorite. He's my favorite. Shut up and stop and think about what's being said. He sounded weak and looked weak. Brock had a smile on his face when Dean entered the ring, and he was smiling when Dean left the ring. If I were Dean Ambrose, I would have slapped the taste out of his mouth. And then I would have slid under the bottom rope and ran up the ramp and just threw my arms out saying, come on, big boy, let's do this. And then, of course, you have Heyman getting in front of Brock saying, no, we don't do this. We fight for money, okay? Now, would that have healed Roman out? Guess what? Who cares? You can't get over on Brock Lesnar. Did you hear what I said about the Pope? Pope ain't happy about it either, man. You can't get over on Brock Lesnar. Forget it. Undertaker couldn't get over on Brock Lesnar. Do you feel me right now? It's the truth, man. You can't do it. So because you can't do it, guess what? Shut up and do what you can do, okay? Dean's best attributes, the best positive things, the most positive things about this guy is his spontaneity. Okay, is you don't know where his unpredictability. You don't know where he's going to come from. You don't know what he's going to say. You don't know what he's going to do. Okay, remember the hot dog cart? A lot of people had a problem with that, the ketchup and mustard. Dude, I loved it because it was unpredictable. No one, when was the last time you saw something like that? Okay, but Dean's character is off his rocker. Okay, and whether his character truly is insane or if it's all mind games being played on his opponents, the fact is, he's got a reputation to live up to. And you get in Brock Lesnar's face and flat out tell him you don't want to face him? Dude, what particular brand of grass are you smoking? Because I would love to know. I'm straight edge, but it's just for research purposes. Trust me, man, I'm not a closet weed smoker. I'm not on the pot. Okay. Clear that up. So, I would love to know where that came from. Where'd that even come from, man? Freaking terrible's where it is. Just terrible. And then you just leave the ring? Like you called Heyman Porky, right? Or Pudgy? I use the word Pudgy a lot in insults. I'm sorry. It's who I am. But he called him Porky, I believe, and I'm like, well, there you go. Insult the mouthpiece. You got the beast in front of you. You're going to give him respect? Screw that. Now, here's what I believe happened. I think that Dean was coached and said, you don't want to heel out, okay? We want you to stay face, and we want Brock to be face. But if you say the wrong thing, you're going to heel out. Dude, in my opinion, it doesn't matter, man. Because once Brock lays hands on Dean, starts, suplexing, living daylights out of him at Fastlane, I don't think it's going to matter then anyway, okay, man? Because honestly, people pop for Brock like they pop for Hawk and Animal. End of story. That's it. So, the people want Dean Ambrose to become somebody. WWE has already begun to sabotage it, okay? And they're already doing this thing with him and Roman where, are you going to be able to get along? Can they be friends? They're brothers. They're brothers. Can they be brothers after Fastlane? I don't think they can. They're going to implode. Dude, let me just say this for the record. This is one of the best duos, one of the best friendships that I've seen in a while. I did a podcast on them a long time ago, man. Where have you been? Dean and Roman's Excellent Adventure, I think I called it. Go back and look at the series, man. You can find the episode. Download that sucker and listen to the crap out of it. I'm just saying. It's one of the best portrayed duos, one of the best friendships we've seen. Maybe better than Triple H and Shawn Michaels, if I can be honest with you, because they've got the humor, they've got the feeling of brotherhood really comes into play. Okay, with Hunter and Shawn, it felt more like two main event guys that were thrown together by circumstance that became best friends. With Dean and Roman, it felt like two guys that came up in this company together, who learned from each other. Probably Roman learned a lot more from Dean than Dean learned from Roman, obviously. But and they've become a brotherhood as a result of it. To me, that's a lot different dynamic. And so it works. Now, are they going to split up? Eventually, somebody's going to get their feelings hurt. Somebody's going to get, Superman punched, or it's going to break out into a good old-fashioned Donnybrook. Next thing you know, that's it, game over. These guys, well, they hate each other. It's a grudge match. It's a grudge match. Put them in the cage. It's going to happen eventually. We all know this, yes? I don't think it should happen right now, okay? I've been the guy saying it for a year. Don't do it yet, okay? Don't do it out of necessity. Do it because it's the right thing to do. That's all I'm saying. But people are going to be upset when Dean doesn't win the title. I mean, honestly, they will. I don't know how many people are expecting Dean to win, but a lot of people are going to be upset. And they're going to be even more upset when Dean doesn't ascend to the throne of main event superstardom. If it were me, they're already talking about Brock versus Bray Wyatt at Mania, by the way. And I love me some Bray Wyatt. If it's me, I'm booking Brock against Dean Ambrose. I'm putting Dean over. Oh my God, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Now, no one gets over on Brock. I stick to my guns on that. I defy you to find me somebody that can. But if anybody can, it's going to be Dean Ambrose. Think about it, man. There's no better fit, honestly. Because no one expects Dean to do it. Do you understand? I mean, who could you even compare that to back in the day? Roddy Piper getting over on Hulk Hogan. I mean, he did for a lot of fans, but in terms of winning, not so much. Okay? Not so much. Not in WWE. Okay? Straight up. So, do you liken it to the same thing where it's like people love Dean, but Brock's the man. Dean ain't getting over on Brock anytime soon, man. And that's how it is. To me, it's very similar. I don't know if I'd call it the same. It is what it is. But I think that Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 32 would make a lot more sense because Bray is a superstar babyface in the making. And I don't know what he stands to gain from losing another match at WrestleMania. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it's a good idea. His WrestleMania track record is terrible, if I can say. Not in terms of his performance. Everybody calm down. Seriously. I'm talking about in terms of it getting him to the next level. Wins and losses don't matter as much as you might think. We make a big deal out of them. We as writers make a big deal out of them. We as fans talk about them all the time. But the fact of the matter is, wins and losses only mean as much, in as much as getting a guy to the next level. Therein lays the problem for me with Bray working WrestleMania because it never seems to get him anywhere. It never seems to get him to the next level. Now, I got a problem with that, man, honestly. I don't think it's working for him, okay? So because it's not working for him, why in the world would you book him against Brock Lesnar, who's not going to lose at WrestleMania? I mean, I don't think he is, do you? Now, would I put Dean over on him? You better believe I would. And it doesn't have to be a cheap schoolboy. It could be something that, he catches Brock off guard with a move. He does a flurry of offense and gets a surprise pin. I'm okay with that. But, no cheap tactic where he's just suddenly sunset flip out of nowhere and Bob's your uncle 1, 2, 3 matches over. I'm not saying that. I think Dean deserves a little bit more than that. But can you imagine the roar of that Texas crowd if Brock were to lose to Dean Ambrose? It could be Dean's biggest moment of his career to that point. I'd seriously consider it. That's what I'm saying. But again, folks, as we said before, a lot of complaints coming from fans in regards to WWE, a lot of people, complaining and just losing their minds about stuff that company's doing. So let's go ahead and get into some of the complaints right now, man, in regards to the new World Heavyweight Champion. Your new World Heavyweight Champion, by the way. Triple H. So I'm watching the Rumble. Triple H shows up in the Rumble, and he wins the belt. And a lot of people start going nuts. Guess what they're doing? It's nuts in a good way. They like it. They liked it. I don't even know what to say. They liked it, man. You know what I mean? Because Triple H is familiar. He's got a history. He's got a lot of love from fans who love what he's doing with NXT. This is not the same Triple H running around with that mythical shovel that everybody claimed he had. I love those people, mostly because I love to sit back and revel in the stupidity of morons. It's quite fascinating, actually. Quite fun, too. But the mythical shovel supposedly is gone, put up in the drawer in favor of the suit. And the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, by the way, which he is your title holder at this point. Now, a lot of people love it. A lot of people just love the side of it. They can't get enough of Triple H as World Heavyweight Champion. Why? Because that means Roman don't have it, okay? Dude, can I ask you a question? At what point do we go so nuts and hate Roman Reigns to the point that we just say, dude, you know what? I'd rather Triple H have it. Here's the problem with a less than part-time guy being your World Heavyweight Champion. Want to hear it? Because I'd be glad to tell you. Here's the problem. That dude's not going to defend the title. Do you understand? He's not going to wrestle on TV. He's not going to wrestle house shows. He's not going to do anything but show up with his suit with the belt under the suit coat, by the way, which is, I don't even know what, didn't John Layfield do that? But I mean, whatever, man, okay? But for everybody out there that praises Triple H, for bringing forth a new generation of NXT. I want you to think long and hard about your praise, because the same guy you're praising is the same guy that put the belt on. And what kind of statement is that making? Hey, folks, know all the talent down in NXT? They ain't ready yet. Oh, we don't think they're ready yet, so screw them. And here's Triple H with the belt. Hunter, come on out. Come on out, dude. That's what they're essentially saying, right? Now, am I saying you put the World Heavyweight title on Finn Balor at WrestleMania 32? Obviously not. I love me some Finn Balor as well, but that ain't happening right now. I'm not saying go to extremes. I'm just saying be smart about this thing, man. Why in the world do you put your belt on Triple H? Because a lot of the same people that were praising the move during the Royal Rumble, guess what they're doing now? They're hating on it, as we all knew they would, because Triple H, as World Heavyweight Champion, doesn't further the product. You know what it's there for? To set up the main event of WrestleMania 32, and that's it. It doesn't do anything else. It doesn't do a thing else for your company. It doesn't do anything for merchandise sales. It doesn't do anything really for ticket sales, because Hunter's not going to be wrestling. Okay, it doesn't do anything for building new stars, because he's not going to do that. This is all about Hunter being the go-to guy, being the last stop on the road to main event immortality, as he was for Daniel Bryan. And you know what? What were to happen, and this is, I don't wish injury on anyone. Don't misunderstand me here. Don't misquote me, please, as has happened in the past. Calm yourselves down, okay? But what were to happen if Roman were to win the title back at Mania and then get hurt afterward, as Daniel did? All of this work would be for nothing, okay? It would have been for Roman to have his 15 minutes and then he's on the shelf. Dude, can you imagine? Now, here's the thing. Again, going back to the old Daniel Bryan idea, this is how WWE thinks you got to get a guy over. You got to make a guy into an underdog. And you go to him, you say, well, excuse me, sir, Roman doesn't really look like an underdog. Shut up, I don't care. He's the underdog. Put him in the role, push him, go. And you're like, wait a minute, it doesn't fit, right? It doesn't feel right at all. So you've got Roman in this weird underdog role where he has no business being underdog. It's a funny thing to me, when he was with the Shield and they were heel, he was punishing guys, putting people through tables and doing his thing, and everyone was, I don't know about afraid of him, but respectful, and you know, they treaded lightly around him because dude was dangerous, had an edge to him. And now all of a sudden he's the underdog. Isn't that funny? The wacky guys in WWE Creative, oh, they're a wacky bunch, aren't they? They got their clown shoes and their funny whistles, and it's, you know, a bunch of confetti and sparkles all the time. I don't know what's going on, man. They're shooting little people out of cannons. Who knows? But my thing about it is, again, Roman's being shoved into a role that doesn't fit him, and then you got the 46-year-old Triple H as your 14-time World Heavyweight Champion. Okay, Triple H is essentially being put in the Fritz Von Erich role, the Vern Gagne role, the guy in charge who wears the belt because, hey, you can depend on me. Number one, I ain't going anywhere. Number two, I've historically always been a draw. Let me just have the belt and I'll call the shots too. It was working for about 24 hours. It's not really working so much anymore, because now fans are getting a taste of what life is like without seeing the title on TV. You know, Seth spoiled a lot of people because he was on TV every week. There's your champion healing out every chance he got. Now your champion is running the show, and you're like, okay, what now? So I think people are really starting to get a taste of this now, and honestly, they should, because it's kind of a bitter taste, folks. I'm being honest with you about it, but that has now become one of the main talking points for fans against WWE. Because trust me, as we said at the beginning of the program, there's a lot of bad stuff from fans being thrown at that company right now. And you know what? All due respect to WWE and the guys in charge, there should be a lot of crap thrown at that company. You got to keep these guys honest. You got to keep them on their toes. Their job is to entertain you. Their job is to make you happy. Now, there's a very interesting thing happening, and it's sort of a different comparison, but bear with me here. It's a very interesting thing when it comes to Hollywood. A lot, like the Hollywood industry and everything, and in movies in particular, a lot of what's happening is you're seeing what fans want versus what the movie studios want versus what the storytellers want, okay? So when you see films like Freddy vs. Jason, you see films like Creed maybe, and you see films like Aliens versus Predator, and you get this sense that, okay, this movie is happening because this is what the fans want to see. You see what I mean? This is what the fans want. They've wanted it for years. Well, here it is. And here's the movie. And you've got the other side of the coin that says, yes, well, you know, just because fans want it doesn't mean it's always a good idea. Those movies don't always hit and do great. They might make money, but a lot of times they're a critical failure and they don't make any sense, this, that, and the other. So you have that dichotomy that's going on in Hollywood when you've got what fans want versus what Hollywood itself wants. And they're not always on the same page. And to me, I liken it quite a bit to pro wrestling. And I think, honestly, that it's very, very similar. Does the company do what fans want, or does the company do what it wants? You have to say the company does what it wants, because if it were true that they always make the fans happy, really, people like me wouldn't have a whole lot to write about. It would all be praise pieces, what I call praise pieces. You ever read like a puff piece on somebody, and it's like, AJ Styles is the best wrestler ever, and he's got good hair, and he's awesome, and I like the forearm, and he's got good stuff, and Pele kick, and yay. And they tag him on Twitter, and it's all meant to be, look at me, notice me, I wrote something about you, please follow me on Twitter. That's a praise piece. I've written my share of praise pieces, and it's not been... I'm just being honest with you, man. It wasn't meant to make friends with anyone, but if I want to pay respect to a guy, I'm going to pay respect to him. And I've got comments before from direct messages from Steve Austin and comments from Jericho, Shawn Michaels, you name it, the list goes on. And I tagged them in the columns because I wanted them to see, listen, go read this and check it out, because not all of us are hacks. Not all of us don't know what we're talking about. Not all of us are so overly critical of the business that we hate everyone and everything, and we just think we can book it better than anyone else can. That's not the case. Go look at what I wrote. So that's where I'm coming down from. But a lot of people just want to get the follow, just so they can go tell all their friends that Chris Jericho follows me on Twitter because I wrote something good about him because he's got good hair. I mean, you see what I mean, man? It's not really the same thing. So, if WWE never did anything wrong, if they always made fans happy, guys like me, our jobs get pretty boring pretty fast. I'm just being straight with you, dude. So, with that being the case, what do when you've got a company that all they have to do is press a couple of buttons and make the fans happy, versus shoving things down your throat, okay, and making you choke on them for a good long time? I mean, honestly, what do you do in that regard? I'm being dead serious, man. Do you abandon the company? Do you turn the channel? Do you stop watching? Because that's their answer. Hey, if you don't like it, quit watching. That's what they... And I love supporters of WWE that follow blindly and don't have an opinion. They just love everything the company churns out. Listen, if you don't like it, just stop following. Just don't watch it anymore. Folks, I've never heard of that fixing a thing. Okay? It doesn't give me peace of mind. I'm a pro wrestling fan. I watch a lot of pro wrestling in a week's time. Okay? I'm still watching stuff from 20, 25, 30 years ago. I'm still watching stuff that fans have never heard of. A lot of fans have never heard of. I watch New Japan. I watch Lucha Underground, Ring of Honor, TNA. Yes, God help us, TNA. WWE. I mean, I watch a lot of wrestling. And not every company is doing everything right, obviously, okay? But I'm not going to stop watching because they have a bad show. I'm not going to stop watching because it's a bad run, because Monday nights suck sometimes. I'm not going to stop watching, man, because I'm a fan first and a fan last, and that's it. That's how it is. So that's not going to change anytime soon. Probably never, all right? Always going to be a fan. Whether I'm a writer or not, that will never change. I'll always be a fan, okay? The answer for me is not to change the channel. The answer is start listening to fans, okay? So, what were to happen if WWE today pushed a couple of buttons and made things happen the way you want them? Now, does that mean that Roman Reigns goes extinct? Okay, he joins the black rhinoceros as the latest extinct species on the list. I never said that, okay? I said that it's not working what they're doing with him. They need to do something different. Does that mean a massive heel turn? I don't know what it means. I mean, a lot of people believe that's been the solution from day one. Just turn him heel and everything will fix itself. I don't happen to believe that. I think there's a lot more work needs to be done just other than Roman just turning heel. I don't think that's just primarily the only answer, man. I think there's stuff that has to be done in addition to that, okay? I think he needs to be worked with on the mic. I think he needs that edge to him. I think he needs to be shoot first, ask questions later. I wouldn't have Roman Reigns cut a promo again for a month. I wouldn't have him say a word. I'd have him come out, let his fist do his talking for him. And every time someone got in his way, I'd have him Superman punch the crap out of him and leave him laying. I would do the spot with William Regal in the ring. On the mic, Stone Cold comes out, gives him a stunner, nonchalantly walks to the back and never says a word, never acknowledges the fans or flips anybody off. That's what I'd do with Roman. I'd have him come out, Superman punch the guy, lay him flat on his back, walk right back to the locker room, never say a word to anybody about it. That's what I would do because Roman Reigns is a killer. He's got to be a killer. The only way it works is if Roman is a killer. Right now, Roman's not a killer. He was the night he laid out. He laid out Vince McMahon, laid out Triple H the night before. That was the Roman Reigns that everyone wanted. Okay? Even if you hated the guy. A lot of people that hated him was like, I don't hate the guy. I hate what he's doing. Okay? The moment he did that, did you hear the crowd? He was over. He was over until Brock Lesnar came back and some doofus in WWE Creative said, hey, Brock, go out there and F5 him. That'll work. It didn't work. The very next week, Roman spears him twice, and guess what? He was hated for it. Why? Because he touched him? Well, his character would obviously want to get a measure of revenge, but you can't have it happen in the first freaking place. It's not going to work. Am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong, folks, because it didn't work at all. Okay? Straight up, it didn't work. Seriously. So what do you do now? WWE's not going to start doing everything right. They're going to start making you happy just because you're asking them to. If that were the case, John Cena would have been out of a job 10 years ago. Would that have been best for business? Obviously not. Obviously not. You have to temper what you want versus what is best for that company. Now, there's small little things that could be left alone. There's small little things that could be done. Again, sometimes all I got to do is just press a button. I mean, after all, is it that hard to put Zack Ryder back on the main roster? I'm asking. Is it that hard to put him on TV? I don't understand. The guy looks amazing. He's in probably the best shape of his entire life, and he can't get on TV. He was connected. Don't know if he's connected anymore. He had a fan following. I'm sure he still has it. Does anyone care now? Probably not. Okay? And you had guys like Punk speaking up for him. Well, Punk's no longer there. And, you know, you need a player's advocate. You know what I'm saying? You need a guy like for the NFL Players Union. You need somebody to step up and represent the players to the company. And it has to be somebody that is the locker room leader. Is that guy John Cena? Well, despite the praise I heaped on him earlier, I will say this. John has a reputation that goes along with who he is in terms of, hey, this show's all about me. Won't you just shut up and go on? So I don't know how much of that is true. It's been said for years. Who knows, man? But I'll be honest with you. How many new stars, and you answer the question, you tell me, how many new stars have been made under John Cena's watch? And I'm talking about main event guys. How many can you name off the top of your head? Can't say Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett was killed by John Cena. Okay. Can't say Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder was an unfortunate fatality of the John Cena storylines. Okay. He was collateral damage and hasn't been seen since. Can't say Zack. Roman happened because of the Shield. So did Dean. John had nothing to do with that. You see what I'm saying here, folks? How many guys did Ric Flair make look good every single time he walked into the ring? No matter what territory it was, no matter what part of the world it was, whether it was, St. Louis or Honolulu, okay? How many times? The answer is a whole bunch. More than you can count, Ed, really. So John doesn't really do that. Now, is that John's doing? I didn't say it was John's doing. I just think he is a product of his environment. And he is a product of the WWE in terms of what they want and what they want him to do, okay? I don't think John Cena is in the business of making new stars, and sometimes I question if WWE is or not. That's why NXT is such an asset to that company. It's a valuable commodity, okay? They should treasure NXT, I'll be honest with you. I mean, a lot of us do. I love NXT. I watch NXT, and I'm like, wow, this is good, huh? Because, I'm not one of those guys that says, well, just replace the whole Monday Night Raw roster with NXT. That'll be fine. If you believe that, I feel bad for you because obviously you were dropped on your head as a child and you should go get help. It would never work. You know why, right? It would never work because NXT is not the same as WWE's main roster. Being over in NXT is not the same thing as being over on Raw. If you need proof of that, go ask the Ascension. Okay? Now, the Ascension were dealt a bad hand with the Road Warrior ripoff thing. I get that. At the same time, it's not the same deal, okay? Now let's talk about guys who are over, despite not being created by John Cena. The aforementioned AJ Styles, folks, is now in the house that McMahon built, and already fans are hating on that company, so we will provide you another case against WWE in terms of AJ Styles. Well, he's not being allowed to talk. He's not being allowed to talk. I've heard that. I've read that. Guess what? You don't want AJ Styles talking. You want Brock Lesnar cutting promos? The answer is no. You don't want AJ Styles cutting promos either. Straight up. Want to know why? AJ's a hillbilly. I say that with all due respect, and I say that as a guy that grew up and still lives in the Carolinas. It's not meant to disrespect. But have you heard AJ Styles talk? Okay, now, again, not to discredit him, not to say I don't like him. I've loved the guy from day one. I love that he's finally getting his chance. If I were AJ, I'd wrap up my career in WWE. I hope it lasts 5 years or better. I'm not even kidding about that, man. I want him to have a good run. I'd like to see him have the title at some point. Am I thinking big? Yeah. Am I thinking too big? Probably. But I don't really care, okay? You can hear the Southern in my voice. I try to mask it, try to hide it, because the last thing I want to do when I do podcasts, man, sound just like this. Hey, y'all. Welcome to the show, man. Paula Dean's my favorite person ever. We're all racist and we love the Klan. No, that's not me. I'm not a product of my environment, okay? Just saying, all right? I don't want to be that guy. Not that AJ is either. I'm not saying he is. AJ is a family guy, respectable dude. Again, how many times have you ever heard anything negative about this guy? Try never, okay? But what I'm saying is, if it's me, I don't want AJ Styles cutting promos, and someone in WWE Creative has agreed to that. Either Vince or Triple H or Stephanie or somebody said, yeah, maybe he should be cutting promos right now. Honestly, AJ's more effective just being like the silent killer, just being that guy that comes in, he's keeping his head down, he's working his way up. By the way, he's worked 2 matches on TV, and he's pinned 2 world champions. How you like them apples? That's pretty good, right? He's pinned 2 former world heavyweight champions. Now, I said, when I was first asked about AJ, how would you book AJ? And the first thing out of my mouth was, I would put him on a really good run. And I would put him on a run that involves him pinning former world champions. I don't care if you don't believe me. I don't lie to you. Why would I lie to my audience, dude? That's not me, okay? Seriously, dude, I'm not going to do that to you. I promise you I won't lie to you. Trust me. But I said I would put AJ against former world champions, and I'd have him go over on every single one of them, and I'd have him build a track record. Very quietly build a track record where he goes undefeated. And at some point he can lose matches, it's fine, but he needs to ultimately win the feuds, okay? And the feuds that he wins should involve former world champions. Okay, I mean, he should pin Kane. He should pin anyone that's ever held that belt. He should pin him. Sheamus, you name it. I'm serious. And it doesn't have to be long, drawn-out 6-week feuds that culminates pay-per-views. It can. It's fine. But I wanted to get to the point, like, say, summertime of 2016, that you're looking at AJ as a world title contender because he's got a track record. His win-loss record is such that you're going, wow, this guy deserves a title shot, man. It's no longer he deserves a title shot because he's AJ Styles and we love him. It's he deserves a title shot because he's beating everybody. You see what I mean? That's what I'm thinking about right now. Seriously. And I think they're doing the right thing. But there's already being hate being leveled at WWE. People are upset because they're saying he's not being booked properly. There's already Someone, I don't know the guy's name, but he wrote a column in which he said, I already sense trouble for AJ Styles. He's been there 10 minutes. He's been there 10 minutes. This is not like, Mel Kiper, who sits back and his job is to analyze college recruits and tell you whether or not that they're going to be valuable players in the NFL. He's not this is not the case of a talent scout who's been studying a player since high school and says, nah, he doesn't really have it. He's not what we need. He's not going to be a fit for our team. That's not it. AJ Styles is a winner. He has been forever, and he's got a proven track record. One of the hardest workers you'll ever see. He's flew in the ring. Dude is 37? He's flew in the ring as he ever was when he was 27. Dude is really, really, really good, okay? So no one's questioning any of that stuff, man. So just like no one's questioning it, no one can really sit back and tell me, oh, well, things aren't looking too good right now. Dude, do you know how many people just talk to hear themselves talk? I say this while I'm doing a one-man podcast, which I'm going to listen to 100 times to critique it. And yes, I do that. Don't judge me. But I have a problem with that. It takes a lot of guts to do that, to sit back and criticize a guy 10 minutes and being there. I mean, I don't understand that at all, man. I'll never understand it, to be honest with you. I don't get it a bit. Not one click of it do I understand. I just don't. But again, there's some noise being made by fans out there who they don't know what to think about what's going on, and they just don't want it. Who else is upset right now? How many other people are still upset about the Daniel Bryan situation? Dude, this is never going to go away, right? This is never going to go away. Ever. You want to know why? Because Daniel is loved. Daniel's the man. People want, again, like I said earlier, people want good things to happen for Daniel Bryan. They want to see him succeed. Dude, not just in the ring, but in life. That's how popular he is. I'm serious, but as of right now, he's still on the sidelines. An article I wrote on Bleacher Report, this one's a bit older, but the headline, Daniel Bryan, this was the latest news and buzz surrounding Star before Royal Rumble 2016. This headline always comes up. This is actually the second time I wrote it, to be honest with you, before a pay-per-view. Because why is that? Because fans want him back. Because they're hoping for a surprise appearance on a pay-per-view for a Sunday night event, which I guess you can call it now. They're hoping for that moment where Daniel shows up and he's in the ring and he's okay. And you're like, oh my God, he's okay. They didn't tell us he's been cleared. Hallelujah, and pass the collection plate. It's not happening. It's not happening right now. Why is it not happening right now? Well, folks, let me just tell you this. He is still on the sidelines. Fans aren't happy. A lot of them are fed up with it because it's taken a long time to resolve the issue. Now, at some point, it's got to end. Fans are ticked off. Okay? Why does it need to end? Because fans are starting to turn just a little bit on Daniel. Not a terribly big amount, but just a little bit. Fans are sick of hearing it. They want to move on to the next big story. And Daniel is quickly fading. Now, it took a long time to get here, but he's quickly fading. So people are upset at that company for not clearing him. If Daniel does indeed have clearance, why not put him back in the ring? And if he's not back in the ring, why have they put him back on TV yet? You mean to tell me Daniel doesn't want to be on TV? He doesn't want to do something with somebody? So people are hating on that company for that. They're like, give us our guy back. You know what I mean? When Austin got hurt, people wanted Austin back. You know what I mean? And WWE wasn't doing it. It played directly into that storyline of the creation of the Mr. McMahon character. Fans want Daniel back, dude. Bottom line, that's what they want. And it ain't happening yet. You know what I mean? So you got to ask yourself a question. What are you going to do about Daniel Bryan? What's the company going to do about Daniel Bryan? What's the answer going to be? Because right now there's no answer. There's no answer, man. Guess what else there's not an answer for? All right, there's no answer and there probably never will be. Isn't that terrible? I just want to see the guy back in the ring. How do you not want to see Daniel Bryan back in the WWE ring? What is wrong with you? You don't want to see him go to another company, do you, and take a back step? I'm sorry, dude, but when you leave WWE, you're taking a back step. Now, it's no disrespect to anyone that's ever left. I'm not saying that there's not life after WWE. There most certainly is. There's guys in Lucha. There's guys in TNA and Ring of Honor. There's guys in New Japan. There's definitely life after WWE. Not suggesting there's not. But you mean to tell me that it's not exactly the same thing, right? That's not to suggest that company does everything right. I'm not saying that. But they're the biggest player in the game, dude. I mean, honestly, it's like going from the NFL and playing in the CFL. It's not the same thing. You know what I mean? WWE's the biggest game in town. That's it. That's who they are. I want to see Daniel Bryan back in the WWE ring. There's a lot of people complaining about it. There's alternatives to WWE. Like I said, man, if you're not happy with the WWE product, there's other stuff to watch in addition or instead of WWE. Lucha Underground is just back for a season 2, and man, it's different. It's innovative. Lucha Underground, in my opinion, is best described as the most unique wrestling product on the market today, possibly ever. I can't think of another wrestling product that can compare to Lucha in terms of you turn the channel, you're like, wow, this is different. If you were surfing the channels and you didn't have anything to watch and you came upon Lucha Underground, you would know within 2 seconds this is not WWE, and this ain't your daddy's wrestling either. Okay, this is it's hip, it's cool, it's different, it's new. It's very gritty, it's very dark. This is Batman's pro wrestling. You know what I mean? If Superman is John Cena, this is Batman's pro wrestling. A lot of dudes in masks, a lot of luchadors running around, flying through the air with the greatest of ease. They got some talented cats, man. I'm not lying to you. So go check out Lucha Underground. It's definitely worth it, for sure. There's other companies out there. New Japan continues to do what they do. Still, bring you some of the best matches on the planet. Some of the best talent you've ever seen. Nakamura is now in NXT. Hui. Everyone hold your breath for that one, because I sure am. I hope it works out, man. I do. I don't want to see what happened with Tommy, where he just shows up and it's like, I don't know if I'm feeling this too much. You know what I mean? Nakamura is a unique guy. He's a very special talent. He deserves some serious spotlight, and I hope he gets it soon in that company on the main event level, to be honest with you, because he deserves it. TNA's on the air. TNA's got a lot of flaws. I'm not going to lie to you. They're an alternative. I wrote that column not too long ago either for Bleacher, in which I said that TNA was an alternative to fans that are frustrated with WWE, and they are. Their world champion right now is Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy's doing a great job on social media, man. If you follow any of Matt Hardy's accounts, I'm going to tell you right now, he's killing it. So many people hate this guy, and I've talked to him a lot in the past. I interviewed him one time, and I'd sent him a direct message, and we had a little exchange back and forth. But he's doing good work. This guy knows how to get over, and dude, he'll go for whatever heat he can get, because that's what a heel does. There's no such thing as bad heat if you're the top heel. I don't care who thinks otherwise. I don't really care what you think. It's the freaking truth. There's no such thing as bad heat when you're the top heel. Maybe if you're a heel, period, there's no such thing as bad heat. I'm just saying. But Matt doing a bang up job as TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Got Brodus carrying his kid. I just think it's a good touch. Again, when's the last time you've seen anything like this? Be honest about it. I mean, when's the last time you've seen, a family of heels? You know what I mean? It's like the Kennedys if they were evil, without the accent. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same thing. But maybe that mob mentality, we keep it in the family and that kind of stuff. Man, he's turning on Jeff again, and we all knew that was going to come. But, there's some bright spots in TNA. It's not all bad. It's just TNA creative, if such a thing does exist. Let me tell you what I'm feeling. I'm feeling like that company has loaded up its locker room because they feel like they have to. And I understand. You got to get talent signed. You got to fill up a card. You got to give people a lot of choices, a lot of selection of who they're going to like and who they're going to come see wrestle. I understand how the game is played. I totally get that. But at times it feels like they got too much. Can I say that? It feels like they had too much. Now, more than they can handle. You know what I mean? I think they got more than they can handle. So with that being the case, what does TNA do? Do they get rid of guys? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you need to work with the talent that you have. You need to get your main event stars to become plausible, groom them and work with them and develop them, And those other talents that, dude, a lot of them look alike, and I don't know who they are. I'm being honest with you. A lot of the guys are from England, perfectly fine. They're a dime a dozen in that company. Why is that? Because they're terrible? No, it's because TNA's not doing a good enough job differentiating the two between one and the other. A lot of work still to be done in TNA. A lot of people predicting their demise as they've been doing for the better part of 10 years. I'm not one of those guys. I don't want them to die. You know, if you're a pro wrestling fan, I've went on this rant before here on the show. If you're a pro wrestling fan, you don't want to see anything bad happen to TNA, because if you want pro wrestling to exist, I mean, period. Ring of Honor's still out there. I don't catch as much Ring of Honor as I do anything else. Ring of Honor, in my opinion, has always needed to get bigger. I'm not saying they need gigantic guys that can't work. Don't misunderstand me. But there's guys in Lucha I would go after. Have you seen the Mac in Lucha Underground? Dude, I'd go after that guy in a heartbeat. I mean, he's like 260 or something, and he's flipping. He's doing standing moonsaults. I mean, he's, you know, come on, dude. You know what I mean? The guy's very athletic. I'd go after him in a heartbeat. I mean, I think you need to bulk up. You know, a lot of the problem with the original ECW, all due respect to Paul, because I love me some Paul Heyman, was that they were very small. And again, that comes from a guy who, you know, grew up watching Nikita, who grew up watching the Road Warriors, and even Wahoo, for that matter, you know, kind of bigger guys. But at the same time, you have to beef up. You got to bulk up. You got to give fans a selection. You know, like if Ring of Honor had this selection, like a body styles, and like Lucha Underground's got a great selection of body styles, by the way, body shapes, sizes, styles in the ring. Dude, you name it, they got it. I mean, from top to bottom, from cruiserweights up to super heavyweights, they got a lot. Physique, thin, fat, I guess you could say, a little bit more fat on than others. They've got everything to choose from, as WWE does. So Lucha's got that working for them. Ring of Honor doesn't have that so much, in my opinion. Something they need to work on. I like their presentation okay. I'm not really high on some of their talent, if I'm being honest with you. I'm not going to mention who it is, but I think there's some work to be done there too. Not as much TNA, I think. I'll be honest with you. At some point, and I don't know if this would be a bid to compete with WWE. We're going to compete with WWE. But I do think at some point that TNA and Ring of Honor should merge into the same company. I'm not saying it would take off like a bolt of lightning would work. It could end up being like a lead balloon and never get over. Unless you're watching Mythbusters, which, by the way, they did bust that. Thank you very much, Adam and Jamie. But I digress. But I think that at some point, for the financial stability, and imagine bringing those two groups of fans, if they are different groups of fans, together to watch the same company. Jeff Jarrett's got a company he's getting off the ground, Global Force Wrestling. You know, so there's alternatives out there, man. There's other stuff you can watch. And because a lot of people just they can't stand the inner workings of WWE. They don't want the politics, the red tape. And again, all you got to do is press a couple of buttons to change things. And it seems like that company doesn't want to do that. You know what I mean? I mean, why don't they turn the New Day babyface? Why don't they turn Bray babyface? Why don't they turn Roman heel? Why don't they turn John heel? And it seems like all it would take is just to push a couple of buttons to make some stuff happen. But I mean, they know better, I guess. They've got different plans in mind. I've always been in the assumption that WWE just flies by the seat of its pants a lot of times, that they're not really thinking about tomorrow as much as they are thinking about how today gets to tomorrow. You know what I mean? And in my opinion, you got to be a step ahead of the game. But I think they play a lot of stuff by ear. Not as bad as WCW used to, where they never had a plan ever, except just put Hogan on TV. Didn't work, did it? But now, I'm not saying that they don't have a plan at all. I think they do. I just think that they do a lot of stuff on the fly. So, you know, for a lot of those reasons and a heck of a lot more, there's always going to be hate being thrown at that company. Now, it seems like we just barely got into this topic and we're like an hour and 15 minutes into the show. And guess what? We're going to take it home. But I will tell you this right now. Don't expect this to be the only edition of the People versus WWE. There's probably going to be more. There might be like 10 parts of this, but it's Tom Clark's 10-part series on the People versus WWE. This probably will not be the first and only last time you hear about this very topic, so stay tuned there. Before we do take it home and leave you fine folks to whatever it is you were doing before I came along, we're going to tell you about who we are, where we are, and how you can find us. My production company, owned by myself and good friend Kyle Smith, is called Boink Studios. You can find us online on Twitter at Boink Studios. We're also on Facebook at Boink Studios. Drop us an email if you'd like to, boinkstudios@yahoo.com. We cover everything from pro wrestling to comic books, movies, TV, and a whole lot more. And we talked earlier in this show about our sister podcast. It's Tom and Kyle's Comedy Action Hour, which, yes, is available on the iTunes, on Google Play, and a lot of other places. Please feel free to subscribe and download today. We would greatly appreciate your patronage. We work hard to put the show together, folks. Trust me when I tell you that. And it's just a couple of fanboys talking about what we love, and that's comic books, that's the entertainment business, that's movies, music, anything you can imagine that two guys can sit around and talk about. That's what we do. So, stuff that we've been doing since we were kids, only now we have the platform and the medium to actually do it and, maybe hopefully entertain some people at the same time. So please go check that out. We're also online. I do a blog for Boink Studios. It's tomclarkbr.wix.com/boink. Okay, that's where you find the Boink Studios material. I write all the material on there. All the artwork on that particular website is done by Kyle himself. Copyright Boink Studios, of course. The music that you heard on this show and also on the Boink Studios podcast, that is done by a friend of ours named Philip Fender, who is available for gigs. Just let us know that you'd like to get in touch with him, and he can hook you up. He can do podcast music, intro, outro, anything you need. He's there for you, man. Any kind of style of music you can think of. He's very good at what he does. He's part of the Boink Studios family, okay? So, where can you find me? Well, glad you asked. Why don't we just go ahead and get to it? I am on Bleacher Report. Please go check out my page. Just type in the name Tom Clark in the search box and you will find me. Okay? That's me, man. Check me out on Bleacher Report. I'm also on the highly esteemed Camel Clutch blog. And I do run my own blog that I mentioned before, tomclarkbr.wix.com/blog. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, it's at tomclarkbr. Please drop me an email if you'd like to, tomclarkbr@yahoo.com. And yes, I am on the Facebook as well on my own account, which I do. I really just post a lot of stuff from the shows, from the columns, this, that, and the other. So please go give us a follow. Check out our material, and please give us some feedback. We'd love to know what you're thinking. We like the podcast to be interactive. I like the material I write to be interactive. Tell me what you think, man. Let's debate. Let's hash. Let's chew it up and see what we can come up with on this stuff, man. Again, as we said at the beginning of the show, we do always appreciate you coming back. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. We do hope you come back real soon. This has been episode number 43. Episode number 44 will be on the way very soon, I assure you. So that's it, folks. I'm out. Thanks a lot for checking us out. Thanks for being there for us. And we will see you next time on Tom Clark's Main Event.